Thanks, Sandra. Good evening, everyone. Members of the public joining us in person and online, members of council, city staff. I'll now call to order the City of Summerside monthly council meeting of December 15, 2025 here at 6:31 p.m. I'll ask for a mover and a seconder with respect to the agenda. Moved by Councillor Trenholm, seconded by Councillor Drawn. Any changes, revisions? Everyone in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, we'll move ahead as presented. We acknowledge that the land upon which we're gathered is unceded Mi'kmaq territory. Abogway is covered by the historic treaties of peace and friendship. I'd ask any member of council to declare a conflict of interest with respect to any item on the agenda tonight. Councillor Trenholm.
Thank you. I have a conflict with 6E.
Thank you, Councillor. Before we move into 6E, then we'll just give you a moment to duck out, and then we'll get you back in. Right, that's correct. Yeah. Yeah, just noted from our city clerk, Sandra Zarby, that item 4A won't be able to go ahead tonight as the individual who's presenting is unable to make it due to weather. That will be rescheduled ideally to January meeting. Great. Move on to item 2, minutes. I would call for a mover and a seconder to approve the following council meeting minutes. The minutes of the monthly meeting of November 17, 2025, and the minutes of the committee of the whole meeting of December 2nd, 2025. So moved by Councillor McDougall, seconded by Councillor McColman. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Any opposed? Changes, revisions? Hearing none, the minutes are adopted. I would now ask members of Planning Board, a mover and a seconder, to make a motion to adopt the Planning Board minutes of December 2nd, 2025. Councillor Duran, second. Councillor Trenholm. All members of Planning Board in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Changes, revisions, opposition? Seeing and hearing none, the minutes are carried. Thank you, Council. Now move on to item 3, accolades and recognitions. Opportunity for any member of Council to speak to any accolades or recognitions within the community recently. Seeing and hearing none, we'll move past item 3. I promised Council that I would not suggest we will have a quick night because that apparently jinxes the meetings. So that, we'll see how it goes. Move on to item 4, public presentations, petitions, and delegations. As I said, 4A is off. 4B, we have staff, Megan Williams and Aaron McDonald from our planning department here to walk through, again, Housing Accelerator Fund Design Guidelines. As I understand, this was presented to Council at our last meeting. There was feedback, and so there are some alternative proposals. As I believe all of Council are aware, there is a subsequent resolution at item 6C. So we'll make sure that when we get to 6C, Council have the opportunity to discuss any language or changes to revisions in the resolution. At this point, I'll hand it over to Megan Williams. Megan?
Good evening, Your Worship and members of Council. This will be our last discussion, hopefully, on the incentives for this year, or the initiatives rather. So their design guidelines is tied to 3 different initiatives. Hopefully I wrote them down somewhere. The incentivize redevelopment of existing properties, develop design requirements for missing middle housing, and implement density bonusing for affordable units. So just a bit of a recap of what we've done to date on this. So the 2nd of September, we introduced the guidelines to Council, information on what the design guidelines are, the recommendation for implementing them, and then a draft of those guidelines were shared. On the 15th, we came back and requested some Council direction. Council gave direction to do a bit of public engagement. On the 7th of October, we came back with those results and then requested further directions. So Council did direct staff to proceed with the proposed direction, which was the pilot project with the tables of the different design guidelines. On the 2nd, we came back with that final draft and a bit of a recap of what the design guidelines are. Our Council gave a little bit of feedback and wanted to know what the impact of making the following building elements mandatory. So that's the barrier-free walkway between the main entranceway and the street, and that entranceway shall incorporate accessibility features. So we had a chat internally, and the barrier-free walkway between the main entranceway and the street. So we don't really have like a concrete definition for barrier-free. What we would do is we would follow our current slope and width standards for sidewalks. And then typically developments will already have a walkway. So there will be some financial implications to widening the pathway, but we do expect the cost to be negligible. The kind of bigger question in making this one mandatory is the implication for the building design itself. Having a barrier-free walkway it's nice, but if it leads to a house that's a split level or the entryway has stairs leading up to it, it's kind of a moot point having a barrier-free walkway. The second one is the entranceway shall incorporate accessibility features. Staff strongly recommends that this remains optional. There are too many kind of like it depends scenarios to really effectively implement this design feature as mandatory. And there's always the risk that it could open us up to liability issues. So an accessible door with a button to open would not only be very expensive, like about $4,000, but there's implications for like, oh, what was I trying to say there? Would have implications for the kind of entry up to the door. So having steps there versus a ramp. So if it is elevated, they'd have to build a ramp. The door sill and threshold would have to be half an inch or less. And then the space on either side of the door would have to be large enough for a wheelchair user to move aside to be able to get the door to open. So really, like the best course of action is to leave this as optional and then leave the specifics to the Building Code Act. Staff recommends leaving these elements as optional, and if the applicant wants to make the residential building accessible or the building code requires it, then these two elements will be more effectively and more meaningfully part of the whole picture. Another follow-up, so a suggestion was made that if the design guidelines were adopted for all missing middle and commercial residential buildings and apartment buildings 5 stories or higher, that all applications be brought before council for decision for a short period of time. While staff understands the intent is to show council how the design guidelines are being implemented, the proposed route will have a significant impact on our application review and approval times, and then also to staff workload, as we'll have to write reports to bring them back to council and then have that kind of conversation with council. There's also a risk that this route may give residents and council the impression that council can deny permitted use applications. So we're recommending that if the design guidelines are approved with changes, that the responsibility for review and decision on permitted and conditional use applications remain with staff. And then to kind of fill that gap where council wants to understand and know how the design guidelines are being implemented, we can share that information with council on a really regular basis. Okay, so before I get into the options, are there any more questions about the design guidelines?
Sure, I'm just curious when you say it could, if we did it could open the city up for liability issues. I'm just curious if you could speak a little bit to that. Thanks, Megan.
It's a bit speculative, but if we're saying like, hey, if you're putting in this accessible feature into the door, but we're not considering any of the other accessible features that would kind of come with it, then if someone purchases a house, they're like, oh, it's accessible, but it's not. There's kind of that risk there where someone is expecting to have an accessible house that isn't really. All right, so we'll go through the options one at a time. Yes, okay. So the first one is to adopt the design guidelines, and I say as presented, what's in the package does have those changes added into it. So when I say as presented in this time, it means without those changes. So the missing middle and commercial residential buildings asking for a major variance or that are discretionary use is when the design guidelines would apply, and it would apply to commercial or residential buildings or apartment buildings that are 5 stories or higher asking for a density bonus. Any questions on that option? Perfect. All right, so the second option is the one where we've kind of like shoved everything into it. So adopt the design guidelines with changes. So the first change is that it still applies to missing middle and commercial residential buildings asking for a major variance that are discretionary use or that are a permitted use in the R1 zone. So that's the first change. The second one is that it applies to missing middle and commercial residential buildings that are applying for the Summerside Housing Accelerator Fund incentive programs. That one would be regardless of zone, regardless if they're asking for a variance. That one is the same, so applies to commercial residential buildings or apartment buildings that are 5 stories or higher that are asking for a density bonus. And then this one is a change to the tables, so making barrier-free walkway between the main entranceway and a street a mandatory site element in the following tables, and then the 4 are listed there. And then the next one is to make, when a building contains accessible units, the entranceway must incorporate accessibility features. So that's a bit of a tweak on that request, just to kind of, to build it into the design of the building, the intent of the building. So to make that a mandatory building element, and then the tables are listed. And then in addition to it, so if 4 and 5 are adopted, we're also recommending that the decrease of the optional building elements get dropped down to 1 from 2, just because those tables now, with those changes of moving the barrier-free walkway and the accessible unit, accessibility features, if they're moved over into mandatory, then there will only be 3 items in the optional thing, which would be kind of different. I don't know, it just feels like too much to ask for 2 when there's only 3. Okay, any questions on those options?
I'm curious as to number 5. So the way I read that, it's saying a building that has accessible units must have accessible features. Wouldn't that be, isn't that the way it would be normally? Like, is that even needed? Like, it almost seems, currently we couldn't build an apartment building with accessible units and the entryway not be accessible, correct? There's no way that would
Essentially,
happen?
yeah, essentially, like this would be for the main entryway, so maybe an apartment building has like a secondary space, like a secondary door, that if they need accessible access, they would use that one, but this one would apply to the main entryway. So it's sort of, yeah.
Councilor McDougall?
Yeah, thank you. Megan, on number 2, the first one applies to missing middle and commercial residential buildings asking for a major variance that are a discretionary use or that are a permitted use in an R1 zone. Can you explain that a little more? Like if somebody comes into an R1 and they have a small lot and they want to put an R4 or a 4 unit on there, can they get a discretionary use or the major variance? I'm sorry.
Sorry, I'm just pulling up the zoning bylaws so I can show you instead of trying to guess. There we go, okay.
I
So
know it
in,
says design, but
yeah,
if
so
it's designed.
in the R1 zone, that proposed change speaks to, would end up applying to the duplex, semi-detached, the row houses, the townhouses, and not the secondary or garden suites. So the design guidelines that are in the tables that speak to up to 4 units would apply to those missing middle type housing, regardless if they're getting a variance or not. It would apply to all of them across the city.
Right. But to ask for a major variance when the lot is small and they're requesting to put a 4 unit on it in an R1 zone, what is considered a major variance to?
So a major variance is 10, yeah, up to 50% over 10.
Over 10? You can approve over 10, right?
The-
Or
it's-
up to 10?
It comes, yes, we can, yeah.
So, yeah, okay.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, of course. Any other questions on option 2? Perfect. All right. And then the third one is that the design guidelines will apply to all missing middle and commercial residential buildings. So that's in every R1 zone, regardless if they're getting a major variance, regardless of discretionary use. It'll apply to commercial and residential buildings or it'll apply to commercial/residential buildings or apartment buildings that are 5 stories or higher, asking for a density bonus. And then, of course, the changes that are listed in 4, 5, and 6 under 2. Okay. Any questions on option 3? Okay.
I just want to be clear. I'm going back to item 5, where you were talking about the accessibility features. So, and I'm piggybacking on what Councillor Bruce was asking. I just need to be clear. So if it's an R1 zone, somebody proposes to develop an 8-unit row house. So a major variance would mean that they could add 2 more units? No more than 2, like if it was 10, I'm looking there, it's 8 dwellings,
Okay.
but a major,
So in an R1 zone, just to clarify, you can only have up to 4 units. Let me go to variance.
oh, that's the apartment building that I'm looking at.
Okay, I'm just gonna jump in really quick, Councillor. Page 23 of the package outlines what the design elements would be that would be required, in this case for all R1. So 1 distinct entranceway for each main unit. If provided, attached garages for each main unit be separated. No 2 buildings shall have the same design, same exterior treatment, lighting face downward, etc. That would, so I think, to Councilor McDougall's point, the bolded that are a permitted use in R1, effectively what it would be that any missing middle housing up to 4 units in an R1 zone would have to have these additional design elements built into them to meet, I think, Council's direction. When we went through this, it was to meet the character of the neighborhood, to help to meet the character of the neighborhood, as well as the proposed entranceway for accessibility.
I'll say this to you, Your Worship. I guess what's on my mind is we're dealing with something now on Arcona Street, where there's a large variance that concerns the neighbor. So I'm just picturing that in an R1 neighborhood, and with something like this, maybe that would make it a lot easier to get something like that happening. I think you know where I'm referring to.
Yeah, I know Arconia. I think it's, I know exactly the place and the number, but I think it, just, you can correct me if I'm wrong here, but if a proponent or landowner wanted to apply for a major variance, they would have to come to council, and council would have to apply the major variance test to them. That they'd still have to, and then council would make its decision whether they wanted to give a major variance or not. Whether you did or didn't, or whether they needed a major variance or not, they would still, if they were in an R1 zone, would require the design elements. Arcona's in R3, so the design, it wouldn't have the exact same ones in here, but it might meet the missing middle, because I think it is intended to be a multi-unit. It is certainly taking a multiple amount of years to get done, but.
No, of course, and I wanted to clarify too, the variance section of the land use, the zoning bylaw, doesn't allow a variance to the number of units. So you can only have at most 4 units in an R1. I just want to make that very clear. No, of course. If there are no other questions, what we've put together for council is a kind of choose your own adventure for the resolution. Because this is basically the last day we can, or council can make a decision. If council does choose to make changes to the design guidelines, they need to be very, very clear on what those changes are, so that we can integrate them into the design guidelines, so that they can be released on time. What was the other piece? And I will be here for the resolution as well, so if there's any questions or if you guys need any help with kind of drafting things, then I'm here for help as well. Awesome.
Yeah, I guess just to touch on the resolution, I know we're not at that point yet, but just as it's laid out, compared to how the presentation is laid out, is the resolution basically in a format that follows the staff recommended options, like?
Sorry, the staff recommended option is actually option 1, that it just applies to missing middle commercial residential buildings asking for a major variance or the discretionary use, and that it applies to the commercial residential buildings or apartment buildings that are 5 stories or higher asking for a density bonus. Option 2 is what I heard from council, and tried to integrate it into the option there for you, and then into the resolution as well. So if you look at the resolution, basically anything under be it resolved that is the kind of choose your own adventure
Yeah.
piece. Yeah.
So I'm just looking at the resolution, and it kind of has 4 parts to it. 1 A to C, 2 A to D, 3 A to D, and 4 A and B. But the screen only has 3. I'm just kind of wondering how the screen translates over to the resolution, so I'm able to word it correctly
For sure.
later.
So, number 1 is, reflects 1, 2, and 3 there. Number 2 on the resolution reflects this change. Number 3 on the resolution is change number 5. And number 4 on the resolution is change number 6.
Right.
Does that track?
So number 1 on the resolution is sort of a staff recommended option. Is that?
Sort of. The addition in number 1 has that it applies to all the permitted uses in the R1 zone. So staff is recommending that we kind of dip our toes into this really tentatively. So just doing the missing middle and the commercial residential buildings that are asking for the major variance or discretionary use, and that the density bonus to those buildings.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Councillor John,
at the
if I can add-
time,
if I can add one thing, we added more things in because we were here and you're trying to get the wording down. If you wanted to add something in, it was easier to list all the items
Yeah.
and then stroke out saying, okay, that ain't really what we want. So we have a tighter resolution at the end and not going, what was the exact wording of that? You guys are trying to come up with the wording. We tried providing all the wording that you can, okay, we
Yeah.
don't want that in, we thought about it, we can easily stroke it out. It'll be easier than adding a whole 2 sentences in to cover off something.
and that's clear. I mean, like, I'm going over this, it's clear to me. I'd rather stumble over it now than stumble over it when I'm reading the resolution, so I'm just not sure what to sort of strike out later on.
So council, just item 2 on the screen in front of you, that reflects council's feedback, is captured in the resolution. So it would only be changes to the resolution if council wanted to adjust
Yeah.
section 2. So you can read the resolution, when we get to the resolution, you can read the resolution in, and then if council wants to further adjust,
Okay. That's
or
okay.
make changes back to where, to go whatever direction, then we will be into the
Okay.
striking.
Awesome. Anything else before I leave you? Fabulous, awesome. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Megan. Thank you, Aaron. You have your red pen and highlighter available? Yeah, good. All right, moving on to item 5, appointment to committees. Councillor Trenholm, you have a resolution with respect to the Seniors Equity and Engagement Directive.
Wonderful, thank you. Resolution COS 25-129. It's moved by myself and seconded by Councillor McColman. Whereas the Seniors Engagement and Equity Directive seeks to serve in a fact-finding and advisory capacity, providing recommendations to the City of Summerside Council on the needs of seniors in Summerside. And whereas the committee accepted applications for community member positions, be it resolved that Maureen Van, I've never asked her how to pronounce her last name, Van Dremel, great, be appointed to the seed committee, and she is in the gallery, so she likes to, I guess she spoke, but she can wave and do a little dance if she'd like. Yeah, and I'm also wearing not my reading glasses, so that's why I stumbled a little.
Thank you, Counselor. Just to note for the record, after seed committee, that's not in the resolution, the bit about Maureen. Welcome, Maureen, or your glasses.
Thank you, Mayor.
Resolution COS 25-129, moved by Counselor Trenholm, seconded by Counselor McCollum, is on the floor. Any further comments, questions, discussion from members of council? Seeing, hearing none, we'll call for a vote. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, the resolution is carried. Thank you, Counselor. Welcome, Maureen. Happy to have you. And Ken's giving you the thumbs up. That's a good sign. At this point, we move into item 6, the introduction and reading of bylaws and resolutions. And at this point, I'll hand it over to Deputy Mayor Snow for items 6A and 6B. Deputy?
Thank you, Your Worship. Resolution COS 25-131. Whereas on November 17th, 2025, Council passed a resolution COS 25-127, which resolution provided notice of Council's intention to expropriate a portion of PID 809350. Be it resolved that pursuant to Part 7, Division 4 of the Municipal Government Act, RSPEI 1988 CM-12.1, Council for the City of Summerside hereby expropriate a portion of PID 809350 as more particularly described herein. A. General description of lands. The lands to be expropriated are a portion of PID number 809350 as more particularly described in Schedule A attached hereto. B. Nature of the interest intended to be expropriated. Council shall expropriate the fee simple interest in the lands described herein, which includes all the interest in the land to which this resolution relates. C. Public purpose for which the interest is required. Council requires the lands described here to facilitate the building of a roadway connecting Water Street east to McEwen Road, known as the East-West Housing Corridor. D. Statement of expropriation. Should this resolution to expropriate receive the support of 2/3 of council members present, all the interest in the lands described herein shall be expropriated and become vested in the City of Summerside on the registration and filing of the Office of the Registrar of Deeds for the Prince County of this resolution to expropriate. A survey plan, a legal description of said lands. So I'm going to read Schedule A. Part of PID number 809350, parcel R9. All the parcel of land situate lying and being at Summerside Lot 17, Prince County, Province of Prince Edward Island, being shown and delineated as parcel R9 on the plan of survey entitled Plan of Survey showing portion of Summerside East-West Connector, prepared by Locus Survey Limited on March 20th, 2025 as drawing number 24095-S01, approved by City of Summerside on December 12th, 2025, and being more particularly bounded and described as follows that is to say, commencing at a point set on the westerly margin of PID number 72397, with said commencement point being marked by found survey marker number 20851 on said plan and having coordinates N.706698.639 and E.341138.986, thence following the arc of a 235.00 meter radius curve in an arc distance of 68.194 meters to a point marked by point of curvature number 22341 on said plan and having coordinates N.706688.516 and E.341071.790. Thence on a azimuth of 253 degrees 0710, a distance of 127.439 meters to a point marked by placed survey marker number 22342 on said plan and having coordinates N.706651.513 and E.340949.841.
thence on an azimuth of 343 degrees, 09 feet, 58 inches, a distance of 30 meters to a point marked by unmonumented point number 5602 on said plan and having coordinates N.706680.227 and E.340941.154. Thence on an azimuth of 73 degrees, 07 feet, 10 inches on a distance of 57.120 meters to a point marked by place survey marker number 22277 on said plan and having coordinates N.706696.813 and E.340995.813. Thence on an azimuth of 346 degrees, 21 feet, 18 inches, a distance of 9.962 meters to a point marked by place survey marker number 22251 on said plan and having coordinates N.706706.494 and E.340993.463. Thence on azimuth of 56 degrees, 16 feet, 39 inches, a distance of 15.971 meters to a point marked by found surveyed marker 22252 on said plan and having coordinates N.706715.361 and E.341006.746. Thence on azimuth of 166 degrees, 21 feet, 18 inches, a distance of 14.598 meters to a point marked by place survey marker number 22278 on said plan and having coordinates N.706701.175 and E.341010.190. Thence on azimuth 73 degrees, 7 feet, 10 inches, a distance of 55.270 meters to a point marked by a point of a curvature number 22279 on said plan and having coordinates N.706717.224 and E.341063.078. Thence following the arc of a curvature, 256 meter radius curve, an arc distance of 28.581 meters to a point marked by a point of a curvature number 22281 on said plan and having coordinates N.706724.034 and E.341090.822. Thence on azimuth of 79 degree, 17 feet, 58 inches, a distance of 79.1 meters to a point marked by place survey marker numbers 20849 on said plan and having coordinates N.706731.294 and E.341129.242. Thence on azimuth of 163 degrees, 22 feet, 56 inches, a distance of 34.077 meters to a point marked by found survey marker number 20851 on said plan and being a point or placement of commencement containing approximately 6,090 square meters, 1.5 acres of land, a little more or less. This plan is metric and on all distances are in meters unless otherwise specified. Directions are azimuths referenced to grid north. It's moved by myself, and I'd need a seconder.
Before we take a second, Deputy Mayor Snow, we're going to, unfortunately, I know you just read it, but that was read in the wrong order. You read Resolution COS 25-131. We need to read Resolution COS 25-130, so it's a procedural error. So we'll have to move back and move Resolution COS 25-130, followed by Resolution COS 25-131. Apologies for the procedural side.
Could have interrupted me.
And it's azimuth, if you're interested, for the second and third go.
Oh, azimuth?
Azimuth, yeah.
It's the first time I've ever seen that word.
Yeah,
So
trust me.
is that a legal term, I
Yeah,
assume?
it is. I've written some of these.
Yeah. Say that again, azimuth?
Azimuth, yeah.
Azimuth.
So
Okay,
we'll
thank
just,
you.
procedurally, we'll just move back to Resolution COS 25-130 first. We'll do that first, and then we'll do 131 second.
Perfect,
Continue to you.
Thank you, Your Worship.
Yeah, you bet. Thank you. I wanted to,
All
I could
right.
have interrupted you, but I felt like I should at least let you finish the reading. once I realized.
Thanks.
Thank you, Deputy.
That was nice of you. All right, here we go again. Resolution COS 25-130. Whereas on November 17th, 2025, Council passed Resolution 25-127, which resolution provided notice of Council's intention to expropriate a portion of PID 606905. Be it resolved that pursuant to Part 7, Division 4 of the Municipal Government Act, RSPEI .1988 CM 12.1, Council of the City of Summerside hereby expropriate a portion of PID 606905 as more particularly described herein. A. General description of the lands. The lands to be expropriated are a portion of PID 606905 as more particularly described in Schedule A attached hereto. B. Nature of the interest intended to be expropriated. Council shall expropriate the fee simple interest in the lands described herein, which includes all the interest in the land to which this resolution relates. C. Public purpose of which the interest is required. Council requires the lands described herein to facilitate the building of a roadway connecting Water Street east to McEwen Road, known as the East-West Housing Corridor. D. Statement of expropriation. Should this resolution to expropriate receive the support of 2/3 of council members present, all the interest in the lands described herein shall be expropriated and become vested in the City of Summerside on the registration and filing in the office of the Registrar of Deeds for the Prince County of this resolution to expropriate, a survey plan, and a legal description of said lands. Schedule A, part of PID number 606905, parcel R-10. All the parcel of land situate lying and being at Summerside, Lot 17, Prince County, Province of Prince Edward Island, being shown and delineated as parcel R-10 on a plan of survey entitled Plan of Survey Showing Portion of Summerside East-West Connector, prepared by Locus Survey Limited on March 20th, 2025, as drawing number 24095-S01, approved by the City of Summerside December 12th, 2025, and being more particularly bounded and described as follows, that is to say, commencing at a point set westerly margin of PID number 809350, with said commencement point being marked by place survey marker number 22342 on said plan and having coordinates N.706651.513 and E.3409949.841, thence on an azimuth of 253 degrees, 7 feet 10 inches, a distance of 37.368 meters to a point marked by point of a curvature number 2263 on said plan and having coordinates N.706640.662 and E.3409140.084, thence following an arc of 200-meter radius curve and an arc distance of 110.962 meters to a point marked by place survey marker number 2268 on said plan and having coordinates N.706638.777 and E.34080.556, thence on an azimuth of 73 degrees, 7 feet, 10 inches on a distance of 142.749 meters to a point marked unmonumented point number 5602 on said plan and having coordinates N.706680.227 and E.3409441.154, thence on an azimuth of 163 degrees, 9 feet, 58 inches, a distance of 30 meters to a point marked by place survey marker number 22342 on said plan being the point or place of commencement, containing approximately 3,262 square meters, 0.81 acres of land, or a little more or less. This plan is a metric, and all distances are meters unless otherwise specified. Directions are azimuths reference to grid north.
Thank you, Deputy Snow, and that is moved and seconded by?
That's moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Morrison.
Thank you, Council. Resolution COS 25-130, moved by Deputy Snow, second by Councillor Morrison, is on the floor. Questions, comments, statements from members of Council. Councillor Duran.
Yeah, thank you, Your Worship. Just, I guess, as a point of clarification, or confirmation, I guess, Deputy Mayor Snow just rhymed off a bunch of numbers and letters. So just for anybody that's maybe listening, wondering what just happened over the last 10 minutes, and tech services is pretty much all here, so you guys can confirm. Those refer to just specific GPS sort of points on the land that cover boundary of the land that we're intending to expropriate, correct? Like those are all GPS coordinates, like points.
Points for GPS coordinates, the directions where the boundary lines, lengths and aspects.
Right. So if you draw a line between all those points, that's sort of the areas that we're talking about. Okay, thank you.
Further comments, questions, statements from Council? Councillor Trenholm?
Sure, yeah. I guess I just want to, I guess I've been struggling with this, and I did receive an email from a resident, so I'll just, yeah, the resident says that basically, I guess being uncomfortable with the project, what's happened so far with major steps being done in the wrong order from their understanding, and from my perspective, I mean from the resident's perspective, all that is left right now is for these land purchases to be completed in a way that is honorable and respectful to the
owners,
landowners, and that this type of thing never happens again. I guess it, in a way, speaks to some of my struggle. And I think in trying to inform the public and council and trying to make my decision-making strategy, I guess, plain and clear, I just looked at a few things. And I think the challenge for me is to balance, I guess, the facts, as I say. So council's already approved the development of the east-west housing corridor, as it was called at the time, in 2008, and did lay out the passing of road parcels through land that the city did not own. Number two, council passed then in 2024, the east-west housing corridor bylaw, right, authorized the city to commence construction with the understanding that implementation agreements were getting in place. Three, the majority of landowners have signed agreements, and for 2 parcels of land are at a standstill, one that's under discussion now, the one that, further one that will be. And I guess while the MGA does give council the authority to expropriate land, I mean, looking and asking myself, how has the city acted? And looking that the city quite clearly could have just made the first step to expropriate all land from the get-go, but it didn't. City and staff, from my understanding, sat down for a number of years and tried to negotiate agreements, and successfully did negotiate agreements with the majority of landowners. So I guess, do I believe everything else has been tried and this is the last resort? Yeah, so it does seem that that's what's happened, that everything has been tried and this would be the last resort. So I guess I just wanted to publicly say that. Yeah, it's something I struggle with, but anyway, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Any other comments from Council? Seeing none, we'll call for a vote. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We have 1 nay, and we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 ayes. The ayes have it, 7-1. Thank you, Councillor. And we'll move on to Resolution COS 25-130. 131. 131. Deputy Snow, back to you for the second time.
Thank you, Your Worship. Resolution 25-131. Whereas on November 17th, 2025, Council passed Resolution COS 25-127, which resolution provided notice of Council's intention to expropriate a portion of PID 809350. Be it resolved pursuant to Part 7, Division 4 of the Municipal Government Act, RSPEI 1988, CM-12.1, Council for the City of Summerside hereby expropriate a portion of PID 809350 as more particularly described herein. General description of the lands. The lands to be expropriated are a portion of PID number 809350 as more particularly described in Schedule A attached hereto. B, nature of the interest intended to be expropriated. Council shall expropriate the fee simple interest in the lands described herein, which includes all the interest in the land to which this resolution relates. C, public purpose of which the interest is required. Council requires the lands described herein to facilitate the building of a roadway connecting Water Street East to McEwen Road, known as the East-West Housing Corridor. D, statement of expropriation. Should this resolution to expropriate receive the support of 2/3 of council members present, in all the interest in the lands described herein shall be expropriated and become vested in the city of Summerside on the registration and filing of the office of the Registrar of Deeds for Prince County of this resolution to expropriate, a survey plan, and legal description of said lands. Schedule A, part of PID number 809350, parcel R-9. All the parcel of land situate lying between, being at Summerside Lot 17, Prince County, Province of Prince Edward Island, being shown and delineated as parcel R9 on a plan of survey entitled Plan of Survey showing portion of Summerside East-West Connector, prepared by Locust Surveys Limited on March 20th, 2025, as drawing number 24095-S01, approved by the City of Summerside on December 12th, 2025, and being more particularly bounded and described as follows, that is to say, commencing at a point set on the westerly margin of PID number 72397, with said commencement point being marked by found survey marker number 20851 on said plan and having coordinates N.706698.639 and E.341138.986. Thence, following the arc of a 235-meter radius curve and an arc distance of 68.194 meters to a point marked by point of curvature number 22341 on said plan and having coordinates N.706688.516 and E.341071.790. Thence, on azimuth of 253 degrees, 7 feet 10 inch, a distance of 127.439 meters, to a point marked by place survey marker number 22342 on said plan and having coordinates N.706651.513 and E.340949.841. Thence, on azimuth of 343 degrees, 9 feet 58 inches, a distance of 30 meters, to a point marked by an unmonumented point number 5602 on said plan and having coordinates N.706680.227 and E.340941.154. Thence, on azimuth of 73 degrees, 7 feet 10 inches, a distance of 57.120 meters, to a point marked by place survey marker number 22277 on said plan and having coordinates N.706696.813 and E.340995.813. Thence, on azimuth of 346 degrees, 21 feet 18 inches, a distance of 9.962 meters, to a point marked by place survey marker number 22251 on said plan and having coordinates N.706706.494 and E.340993.463. Thence, on an azimuth of 56 degrees, 16 feet 39 inches, a distance of 15.971 meters, to a point marked by found survey marker number 22252 on said plan and having coordinates N.706715.361 and E.341006.746. Thence, on an azimuth of 166 degrees, 21 feet 18 inches, a distance of 14.598 meters, to a point marked by place survey marker number 22278 on said plan and having coordinates N.706701.175 and E.341010.190. Thence, on an azimuth of 73 degrees, 7 feet 10 inches, a distance of 55.2 0.27 meters to a point marked by point curvature number 22279 on said plan and having coordinates n.706717.224 and e.341063.078. Thence following the arc of a curvature 265 meter radius curve, an arc distance of 28.581 meters to a point marked by point of curvature number 22281 on said plan having coordinates n.706724.034 and e.341090.822. Thence on an azimuth of 79 degrees, 17 feet, 58 inches, a distance of 39.1 meters to a point marked by place survey marker 20849 on said plan and having coordinates n.706731.294 and e.341129.242. Thence on an azimuth of 163 degrees, 22 feet, 56 inches, a distance of 34.077 meters to a point marked by found survey marker number 20851 on said plan being the point of place of commencement, containing approximately 6,090 square meters, 1.5 acres of land, a little more or less. This plan is metric and all distances are meters unless otherwise specified. Directions are azimuths referenced to grid north.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Snow. And that is moved and seconded by?
It's moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Morrison.
Thank you, Council. Resolution COS 25-131, moved by Councillor Snow, seconded by Councillor Morrison, is on the floor. Further comments, questions, statements from members of Council? Councillor Duran.
Thank you again, Your Worship. And just not to be picky, I just want to make sure that in the event we're challenged on a minute reading technicality, the units of all those numbers, degrees, minutes and seconds, right? Not inches and feet. Okay, just, I don't know if that would ever matter, but just wanted to clarify.
Councillor Adams.
I'd just like to note that we had talked about this before, because in all our applications for funding, et cetera, it was referred to as the East-West Housing Corridor, and this survey is titled Plan of Survey showing portion of Summerside East-West Connector, so it's incorrectly titled.
The title on the survey is East-West Connector.
What I'm saying is that in all our applications for everything, it was East-West Housing Corridor. That's what we had decided on as a name months and months ago, so it should reflect the correct name of the area.
It has to reflect the correct name on the survey, so whatever the survey says that describes the lands contained
So where
here.
does the survey get the information from?
The survey is described in Schedule A. The physical survey would be, there's reference in Schedule A. I'm not sure if you have the physical survey there.
I know, but what I'm asking, I guess, sorry, it's probably me not saying it correctly. Where the people the surveyors, did they name it this themselves? If so, it's not the correct name, is all I'm saying. It's not Summerside East-West Connector. It's East-West Housing Corridor in all our applications that we've done from the beginning, since we broke ground. That's what it's been.
Okay, duly noted. Further comments, questions, statements from members of council? Seeing and hearing none, I'll call for a vote. Resolution COS 25-131, moved by Deputy Mayor Snow, seconded by Councillor Morrison, is on the floor. We'll call for a vote. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? 1 nay, 7 ayes. The ayes have it. The resolution is carried. Thank you, Council. We will now move on to Resolution COS 25-132. I'll hand it over to our Chair of Planning Board, Councillor Duran. Councillor.
Okay, thank you, Your Worship. Resolution COS 25-132, moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Cameron. Whereas the City of Summerside has an agreement with the Canada Mortgage and Housing Corporation to complete a series of initiatives under the Housing Accelerator Fund, and whereas the following initiatives have a design guideline component: Initiative 3, incentivize redevelopment of existing properties; Incentive 4, develop design requirements for missing middle housing. And Initiative 10, implement density bonusing for affordable units. Be it resolved that the design guidelines are adopted by council to be operated as a pilot project until December 31st, 2027, with the following changes. 1, that the design guidelines apply, A, to missing middle and commercial or residential buildings asking for a major variance that are discretionary use or are a permitted use in the R1 zone. B, to housing middle and, to missing middle and commercial or residential buildings applying for the Summerside HAF incentive programs. C, to commercial or residential buildings or apartment buildings over 5 stories or higher, I guess that could just be over 5 stories, asking for a density bonus. Change number 2, move barrier-free walkway between the main entranceway and the street to a mandatory site element in the following tables. A, mixed use / multi-unit building. B, missing middle housing up to 4 units. C, townhouses, row houses, and apartment buildings up to 8 units. And D, apartment buildings greater than 8 dwelling units up to 4 stories. Change number 3, move when a building contains accessible units, entranceway must incorporate accessibility features to a mandatory building element in the following tables. A, mixed use or multi-unit building. B, missing middle housing up to 4 units. C, townhouses, row houses, and apartment buildings up to 8 units. And D, apartment buildings greater than 8 dwelling units up to 4 stories. And change number 4, decrease the optional building elements down to 1 from 2 in the following tables. A, missing middle housing up to 4 units. And B, townhouses, row houses, and apartment buildings up to 8 units. And Schedule A is attached. That goes over the design guidelines for the city of Summerside.
Thank you, Councillor Duran. Resolution COS 25-132, moved by Councillor Duran, seconded by Councillor Cameron, is on the floor. Comments, questions, statements from members of council. We'll begin with Councillor Cameron. Councillor.
Thank you, Your Worship. I just had a quick note to just say to staff to just thank you for finding a compromise. I know it's not exactly what I had put forward, but I am very happy that there was a compromise to be made. So I just want to say thank you to staff for finding that compromise.
Any further questions, comments, statements from members of council? Seeing and hearing none, we'll move to a vote. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? The ayes, the nays, we have Councillor McDougall, Councillor Adams on the nays. We have 6-2 for 2 and against, so the resolution is carried. Thank you, council. With that, we move on to item 6D, and I will hand it back over to our Chair of Planning Board and City Councillor, Councillor Durham.
Okay, thank you, Your Worship. And I wonder if it might be a good idea to just sort of provide context for this one, either before I read it or after. Okay, Resolution COS 25-133, moved by myself and seconded by Councillor McColman. Whereas the City of Summerside has entered into an agreement under the Federal Housing Accelerator Fund, HAF program, to support increased housing supply, improve permitting efficiency, and advance planning reforms. And whereas Initiative Number 9, Climate Change Adaptation Plan, CCAP, requires the implementation of the CCAP recommendations into the official plan and zoning bylaw, which exceeds the city's current capacity to implement within the program timelines. And whereas the CMHC selected successful HAF applicants based on the initiatives proposed in the application, and so the removal of initiatives may impact the city's funding under the program, therefore be it resolved that the City of Summerside hereby formally requests the replacement of Initiative Number 9, Climate Change Adaptation Plan, CCAP, with a new initiative to increase process efficiency by implementing new technologies or software to speed up development approvals. Be it further resolved that the City of Summerside requests the addition of a new initiative to make municipally owned lands available for housing. Be it further resolved that the City of Summerside reaffirms its commitment to fulfilling all remaining HAF initiatives, the proposed new initiatives, and delivering on its housing targets in accordance with the agreement.
Thank you, Councillor. Resolution COS 25-133, moved by Councillor Duran, seconded by Councillor McColman, is on the floor. Comments, questions, statements from members of council. Councillor Duran.
Yeah, I guess I just wanted to sort of provide a bit of context, and the resolution itself sort of touches on it, but just again, to clarify to anybody that should be interested. So the City of Summerside entered into an agreement with CMHC under the HAF fund to support increased housing supply and improve the efficiency of our development approval process. Since entering into that agreement, we have been reviewing the feasibility and timing of each approved initiative. Council has already approved the removal of Initiative 7 related to floodplain mapping, and that change has been communicated to CMHC. This resolution addresses Initiative 9, the Climate Change Adaptation Plan. One of the key milestones under that initiative would require amendments to the official plan and zoning bylaw. After further review, staff have advised that this work exceeds the city's current capacity to complete within the timelines of the HAF program. So rather than risk delays or potential non-compliance, this resolution proposes removing Initiative 9 and replacing it with 2 alternative initiatives drawn directly from CMHC's own best practices. Importantly, these are initiatives the city is already actively advancing. And it's mentioned in the resolution that those initiatives include implementing new technologies to speed up development approvals, such as updated permitting software, and making city-owned land available for housing, which council has already supported through projects like 107 Water Street, which was the Mother's Antiques building. So the intent is to maintain full alignment with the objectives of the Housing Accelerator Fund, avoiding any reduction in funding, and continuing to deliver on our housing targets in a practical and achievable way. So hopefully that makes things clearer and not less clear, but I just thought the resolution sort of indicated things that we didn't really explain.
Thank you, Councillor. Further comments, questions, statements from members of council? Seeing and hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? We have 2 opposed, 6-4, so the ayes have it, and the resolution is carried. Thank you again, council. We will now move on to item 6E. I'll take a moment and let Councillor Ken Trenholm step out. Councillor, if you want, you can just step in the little office over there. Yeah, or you go to the kitchen, you can go wherever you want. We just gotta kind of close the door. You can go into that room too. Bose headphones, noise canceling. Close your eyes. Okay, sorry, I got distracted. We are moving on to item E, and I will hand it back as well to Chair of Planning Board, Councillor Durant. Councillor.
Okay, resolution COS 25-134, moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Adams. Whereas the City of Summerside brought forward a text amendment, OP 25-39A, to amend Policy 3 under subsection 5.8.1, institutional areas of the City of Summerside official plan. And whereas in accordance with section 5.7 of the zoning bylaw, council shall consider the following general criteria as applicable: conformity with all requirements of this bylaw, conformity with the official plan, suitability of the site for the proposed development, compatibility of the proposed development with surrounding land uses, including both existing and projected uses, any comments from residents or other interested persons, adequacy of existing water, sewer, road, stormwater, and electrical services, city parking and parklands for accommodating the development, and any projected infrastructure requirements, impacts from the development on pedestrian or vehicular access and safety and on public safety generally, compatibility of the development with environmental, scenic, and heritage resources, impacts on city finances and budgets, other matters as specified in this bylaw, or other matters as considered relevant. Be it resolved that official plan amendment OP 25-39A to amend the City of Summerside official plan be hereby formally adopted. Schedule A is attached. This bears the recommendation of the Planning Board meeting held on December 2nd, 2025. And Schedule A, I will read that as well. Official plan amendment OP 25-39A. To amend the City of Summerside official plan, the Council of the City of Summerside, under authority vested in it by Section 9 of the Planning Act, hereby enacts as follows. 1. Amendments. 1.1, that the official plan OP 39, Section 5.8.1, institutional areas, is amended as follows. A, amending policy 3, which reads, allow childcare facilities with up to 50 children as a permitted use in the commercial and institutional zones, and allow small childcare facilities with less than 7 children as home-based business, by deleting it in its entirety and replacing it with the following. Allow childcare centers as a permitted use in the commercial and institutional zones, and allow small childcare centers as a home-based business. And number 2, official plan consolidation. Section 2.1, the CAO or designate is authorized and further required to prepare a consolidation of the City of Summerside's official plan, OP 39, and all amendments made heretofore. Never seen that word before. Heretofore.
Thank you, Councillor Duran. Resolution COS 25-1 through E4, moved by Councillor Duran, seconded by Councillor Adams, is on the floor. Further comments, questions, statements from members of council? Seeing and hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, the resolution is carried. Thank you, council. Megan, would you be able to just knock on the door and let Ken or Aaron? Oh, look, he already knew. Thank you, Councillor Trenholm. Great timing. With this, move on to item 6F, Resolution COS 25-135, funding request. I'll hand it over to Chair of Finance Committee, Councillor McDougall. Councillor.
Thank you, Your Worship. I do have a request here, funding request and a resolution on behalf of Evergreen Village residents. This is moved by Resolution COS 25-135. It's moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Snow. Whereas fundraising efforts have been undertaken on behalf of Evergreen Village residents to assist with their efforts in addressing housing stability and proper compensation relating to eviction notices that have been issued by the park owner. And whereas Habitat for Humanity, a nonprofit organization, has agreed to act as an intermediary for the collection of the funds to allow Evergreen Village residents to have equitable access to due process as they seek representation under the Residential Tenancy Act, PEI. And whereas a legal trust has been set up to ensure there is a financial oversight and the funds are used for their intended purposes. And whereas $4,000 has been requested as financial support from the city towards its fundraising efforts. Be it resolved that Council approves a grant of $4,000 payable now to Habitat for Humanity to be held in the legal trust. This resolution is made upon the recommendation of the Finance Committee meeting held on November 20th, 2025.
Thank you, Councillor. Resolution COS 25-135, moved by Councillor McDougall, seconded by Deputy Snow, is on the floor. Further comments, questions, statements from members of council?
I just,
Councillor McDougall?
if I could, I just wanted to point out that I had left a memo on each councillor's desk, and it's concerning a request from the Evergreen Village residents, and we can discuss that at a later date due to the ongoing, what do you call it? Iraq, Iraq appeal.
Ongoing matter, but yeah, like I
Yeah.
said, I'll be careful with my words. I don't want to say
Right.
anything
Okay.
parliamentary. Thank you, Councillor McDougall.
Yeah, thank you.
Any further comments, questions, statements from members of council? Seeing and hearing none, we'll call for a vote. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, the resolution is carried unanimously. Thank you, council. We'll move to item 6G, COS 25-136, withdrawal project from CCBF. I will hand it back over to Chair of Finance, Councillor McDougall.
Thank you, Your Worship. I have Resolution COS 25-136. It's moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Morrison. Whereas the City of Summerside was awarded funding of $280,350 under the Municipal Strategic Component of the Canada Community Building Funding Program for the core block development, initially known as the First Street and Water Sewer Relocation Project in 2018. And whereas the funding awarded was for eligible costs for the rehabilitation to water, sewer, electric, telecommunications infrastructure, and whereas the initially planned development did not occur as anticipated when the city applied under this funding program, any further infrastructure work required for this development would not be deemed an eligible cost. Be it resolved that council withdraw this project to allow the funds to be reallocated to other projects. Reallocated, I'm sorry. This resolution is made upon the recommendation of the Finance Committee meeting held on November 20th, 2025.
Thank you, Councillor McDougall. Resolution COS 25-136, moved by Councillor McDougall, seconded by Councillor Morrison, is on the floor. Further comments, questions, statements from members of council? Seeing and hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the resolution is carried unanimously again. Thank you, council. Now move on to item 6H, resolution COS 25-137, land purchase. I believe this Councillor McDougall as well as the Chair of Finance Committee.
Thank you, Your Worship. Resolution COS 25-137, moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Morrison. Whereas Section 180E of the Municipal Government Act, PEI, authorizes a municipality to acquire real property for municipal purposes. And whereas Council had identified the property at PID number 68163, located at 236 South Drive, as required for the future intersection development. And whereas Council were provided the details by staff outlining the purpose of the acquisition, financial implications, and due diligence. Be it resolved that Council hereby approve the purchase of the property located at 236 South Drive, property number, PID number 68163-000, and from Adrian Christine Hagan for the amount of $265,000 plus applicable legal and closing costs. This resolution is pursuant to a decision made at the in-camera meeting on November 4th, 2025, conducted in accordance to Section 119E of the Municipal Government Act.
Thank you, Councillor McDougall. Resolution COS 25-137, moved by Councillor McDougall, seconded by Councillor Morrison, is on the floor. Any further comments, questions, statements from members of council? Seeing and hearing none, we'll call for a vote. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? One opposed. The ayes have it with 7-1 opposed. Deputy Snow. Resolution is carried. Thank you, council. We'll now move into department reports and begin with Finance Representative, Councillor McDougall. Councillor, over to you.
Thank you, Your Worship. And I do have a report here. Thank you to Director Kristen McDonald. Good evening to my colleagues in City Council and to the businesses and residents of the City of Summerside. Thank you to the residents who provided feedback on what you would like to see reflected in our upcoming budget. We will be reviewing the form submitted for consideration. Our departments are in the process of preparing the 2026-27 capital and operating budget submissions. A draft budget will be presented to Council in early February and presented to our residents in early March 2026. Our utility accounts receivable have not changed significantly since our November report. The total past due is $41,000 higher than it was presented for November. It is interesting to note that even though our December report shows an increase, we're approximately $67,000 lower than it was presented in December 2024. 40 accounts have a balance greater than 60 days past due of $57,400. 4 accounts remain disconnected for non-payment and will not be reconnected until payment has been received. If you receive a collection notice, you are strongly urged to contact customer service at 902-432-1230. We continue to review our year-to-date results and projections to March 31st, 2026 with departments and expect our general tax fund will come in close to budget, but current forecasts related to the electric utility are showing a deficit. This is assuming we will need to run our diesel generators more during the winter months to address higher demands for electricity island-wide. The Finance Committee priorities is to complete the debt metrics to accompany our debt management policies. The latest plan is to present to Council in January. Thank you for the opportunity to present this report. And either myself or Director of Finance are available to take any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor McDougall. We'll move to
I
set.
I just,
Yep, sorry,
I
yep.
just wanted
Further
to.
your comments
yeah,
on your own
A
report?
little comment.
Or your
yeah.
own question?
No, I haven't got a question. I just want to have a comment.
Sure, Councillor.
I just want to take the opportunity to wish yourself, your worship, and your lovely wife and children a very Merry Christmas, as well as all my fellow councillors and their families, city staff, and residents of the city of Summerside, and especially the ones in Ward 1. Hope we all have a great Christmas. Thank you.
I'll speak for all of us. Merry Christmas to you too, Bruce.
Perfect, thank you.
Wonderful, thank you. We'll move on to Representative Councillor Ken Trenholm, Representative of Community Services and Tourism.
Sure, thank you. My throat doesn't seem to want to work tonight, so I'm just going to, with 3 pages, I'm just going to say that and the information is all online and in public, so it's a wonderful report, so I'll just ask the public to look at it and read it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Trenholm, any questions from members of council for Councillor Trenholm, who may or may not be able to answer them with his shoddy throat? Keep your remarks down. Thank you, Councillor. With that, we'll move on to item 7C, Representative Councillor McColman for Governance, HR, and Legal. Councillor?
Thank you, Your Worship. I want to thank Director Kendra Gunn for preparing the report for Human Resources and Legal Services. The staff facilitated the hiring of casual laborers, seasonal staff, and assistant lifeguards. Current job postings include lifeguards, aquafit instructors, and police constable. The selection process for a part-time police dispatcher is underway. Congratulations to Taylor Egan, who was promoted to customer service lead in the finance department. As well, Matthew McLean was successful as an applicant for the industrial electrician technician position, and the staff attended the monthly JOSH, Joint Operations, I believe, meeting, and they attended them also with the CAO. Staff liaised with the city's pension plan custodian to address inquiries from staff and pensioners, while the department is still working on preparing the salary budget for all departments for the fiscal year of 26-27. Staff are involved with the rollout of the diversity, equity, and inclusion policy, with a presentation made to the finance department. The department liaised with Metabee Blue Cross regarding health plan inquiries from city employees. As well, staff are beginning the application process for student funding through Canada Summer Jobs. Staff assisted with Junior Mayor and Council tour on December 11th. As well, they were here for their swearing-in ceremony this week. Department staff continue to support various city departments, work with external legal counsel on staffing, human resource, and legal matters, including drafting and reviewing contracts and leases and supporting civil claims. And in closing, I also want to take the opportunity to wish all of my fellow councillors and Mayor Kuchar, all city staff personnel and families, residents, especially those in Ward 6, a Merry Christmas, and all the best in the new year. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor McColman. Any questions from members of council? Seeing none, we'll move on to Councillor Morrison, Representative for Municipal Services. Councillor?
Thank you, Your Worship. Just a few notes on the Public Works, Water and Sewer Utilities, or some highlights. Winter operations season is in full swing. For this coming winter season, operations have approximately 2.6 kilometers of new sidewalk, 4 kilometers of new active transport lanes, and an extra 4 kilometers of roadway to remove snow and salt this year. So this will impact some of the timings of snow removal expectations, as more needs to be completed for every event. To better track this effort, the city has introduced the tracking of equipment for winter operations to see the impacts firsthand. These tracking services are also available to the public on the city's website. The public will see 11 plows, 3 sidewalk machines, and 2 salt trucks, and they're being tracked with their GPS. Electric utility highlights. The electric utility has been reviewing and planning for electricity supply security for the city from New Brunswick to its doorstep. The prepared plans for interrupted electricity for this winter are a combination of using utility diesel plant to utility battery storage and all the city operational standby generators at facilities to ensure uninterrupted municipal services while lacking electricity supply. While the utility is doing its utmost to prevent this from occurring, it is planning for the interruption of electricity so city services continue to be provided to the community. In January 2026, a new public program will be launched to give tips and tricks for electric customers to shift their energy use habits to avoid peak demand periods of 6 to 9 a.m. in the morning and 4 to 8 p.m. in the evenings. The actions of individual, when summoned together, can have significant impacts on the peak needs of electricity in the community. And as we all know, in February of 2025, when communication went out to conserve, the peak demand was seen to drop approximately 10% at those times. So that's just a reminder of what could possibly happen down the road for this winter, and if there'll be some things online there in early in the new year. And I want to thank Director Greg Goody for that report.
Thank you, Councillor Morrison. Any comments, questions from members of council? Seeing, hearing none, we'll move on to representative for Arts, Culture and Diversity, Councillor Cameron. Councillor?
Thank you, Your Worship. I want to thank Director Laurie Ellis for preparing this report. The following report captures some highlights of Culture Summerside's activity from mid-November to the mid-December period. Recently, they hosted a Taste of Global Flavors. Wyatt Heritage Property, Inc., in partnership with Culture Summerside and URSA, presented a Taste of Global Flavors. As a component of the Yuletide on December 6th, this was a free event that was about building community connections through culture and food. 11 different global foods were offered for free tasting. All foods were prepared supplied by citizens of Summerside and in the immediate area. Offerings included Mi'kmaq Bannock and Acadia baked goods, in addition to Vietnamese, Chilean, Ugandan, Indian, Lebanese, Filipino, Kenyan, Scottish, and Danish foods. And through that, some of the members were able to use the licensed kitchen facility, which really was great for promoting new relationship building. And then we also have the Celebrate the Season Christmas Tree Through the Ages exhibit, exploring the traditions and evolution of Christmas trees across the centuries at the historic Lafergie Cultural Center. This exhibition features more than 40 uniquely decorated trees, representing a distinct era or style, from early Victorian traditions to mid-20th century design and contemporary interpretations. The displays also include a series of community spotlights with trees thoughtfully decorated by local groups, including the Parkview Seniors Club, the Peers Alliance Summerside Rainbow Youth Club, La Belle Alliance, the Bedeck and Area Homeschooling Co-op, and Immigrant Refugee Services Association, PEI, or URSA. And lastly, Culture Summerside staff attended the URSA Christmas Social on November 26th to promote the programming and services and to seek new volunteers and partnerships. The event was very well attended and new connections were made. I do want to encourage anyone to go see the Christmas trees because they are very fun and cool and a neat way to go back through history. And with that, I will also wish everyone a Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. I wish I was going last so I could say Merry Christmas to all and to all a good night, but I'm in the middle.
Thank you, Councillor Cameron. Any questions for Councillor Cameron? Seeing and hearing none, we'll move on to a representative for Technical Services, Councillor Duran.
Economic development is in the package, but it's not on the agenda, so you do what you will with him. The city's 2024 capital construction season is nearing completion. The city-led East-West Housing Corridor project remains underway with the long-awaited delivery of the traffic signal poles now complete. Crews have begun installing the traffic signals at the intersections on both ends of the corridor. City staff are currently focused on wrapping up and closing out several capital projects from this year, while also reviewing existing infrastructure and preparing capital budget items for council's consideration for the upcoming year. Several new roads have been paved, but are not yet fully complete or formally turned over to the city. These include Gillespie Avenue Extension off Water Street, the new fourth leg at the Reed's Corner intersection, and Phase 2 of the Starlight subdivision. These streets will remain closed to the public until all required work is completed and final documentation is submitted and approved by the city. Anna Drive off Granville Street, which provides access to the new 89-unit building, has been turned over to the city and occupancy has been granted. And also receiving occupancy this month are 24 units on Mackenzie Drive, as well as the mixed-use commercial and 44-unit residential building on Water Street. For the month of November, 17 building permits were issued with a total value of just over $3.9 million. Year to date, this brings the total to 182 permits valued at approximately $46.8 million. November permits included 2 commercial, 1 new and 1 change of use, 1 industrial permit for an addition and renovation, 1 permit for a 4-unit residential building, 4 permits for semi-detached homes, 4 permits for decks and accessory buildings, 2 demolition permits, and 1 permit for a 25-unit apartment building. Developers continue to meet with staff to seek guidance on projects being planned for next year, and now is an ideal time for residents to connect with city staff for assistance with projects they may be considering for 2026. And I will thank Aaron McDonald for preparing the report. And like some others, I will take a minute and wish everyone a Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays and Happy New Year. This is the time of year when we all promise to slow down and spend less and relax and end up doing the opposite. So on behalf of council, thank you to our residents, our volunteers, our first responders, our city staff who keep things running. Especially those that are going to be working over the holidays while we're all at home. So, and I take extra opportunity to thank residents for their patience over these last few months, whether it was construction or road work or whatever, detours. And thanks for listening to people like me ramble on about them. So, again, have a safe, happy holiday season and a good start to the new year. And we'll see you in 2026. Hopefully we'll be rested up and refreshed. Thank you very much. Economic development, you're up.
Your light's still on and you're still standing, so we're waiting. Closed out. Thank you, Councillor. Any further questions for Councillor Duran? Seeing none, I'll move on to Deputy Mayor Snow, representative for Economic Development.
Thank you, Your Worship. The following is a brief update from the Office of Economic Development. Regional collaboration and investment attraction. Work continues with the City of Charlottetown and Global Affairs Canada on a one island approach to support coordinated investment attraction and retention across PEI's key sectors. Some of the key performance indicators for regional collaboration: joint collaboration meetings, there were 3, shared investment files 2, updated or new promotional materials 1, international investor touch points 4. Next update would be on local enterprise support, business retention and expansion. Staff continued direct engagement with local businesses to support expansion plans, help navigate workforce and permitting issues, and connect companies to provincial and federal programs. Some key performance indicators from local enterprise support are local business engagement meetings 11, active BR&E files 7, issues resolved through internal coordination 5, referrals to external programs 6, new expansion projects and early planning 3. External investment attraction, the city responded to new and follow-up inquiries from firms considering Summerside for North American expansion, including international companies and firms from Central Ontario. Staff provided site details, coordinated follow-up calls, and supported partners in assessing workforce, utility, and infrastructure strengths. Several files are progressing to deeper evaluation. The outlook momentum remains strong in both local business growth and external investment interest. Regional collaboration through the One Island model continues to strengthen Summerside's competitive position and early stage expansion discussions. Both local and external signal a positive pipeline heading into the next quarter. I'd like to thank Mike Duska for completing the report, and in following up with everybody else, wish everybody within the city of Summerside a very Merry Christmas and all the best in 2026.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Snow. Any questions for Councillor Snow? Seeing and hearing none, we'll move to item H, Representative for Emergency Services and Communications, Councillor Adams. Councillor?
Thank you, Your Worship. I'll be very quick. For police services, this was submitted by Chief Jason Blackyear. During the month of November, the Joint Enforcement Team conducted 2 operations in the Summerside area, which resulted in the seizure of significant quantities of cocaine, crystal meth, prescription pills, and weapons. Cops for Christmas was held on November 29th with another excellent turnout. This event is very well supported annually by the community, and the police service wished to extend thanks to everyone who donated. And in fire services, Kenny Culleton submitted the report during the month, and this is for November. For the month of November, firefighters responded to 37 calls, and training was 306 hours of training in the month of September. Firefighters continue to create pre-plan reports. Those are reports that identify the physical layouts of local businesses that aid in emergency situations. And a fire presentation was given to seniors at Chesapeake on Linden. And also a shout out to the fire service for always organizing the successful Santa Claus parade. And that's all I have. And since I'm last, on behalf of Councillor Nick, I will wish everybody a Merry Christmas to all, and to all a good night.
Thank you, Councillor, and thank you all of Council. It has been a long year with lots of ups and lots of downs and lots of in-betweens. Merry Christmas, of course, to all of you and all residents in every single ward. And to all the staff who, as I think Councillor Duran pointed out and spoke to, put in incredible work and will be working throughout, especially those who will be working throughout the holidays. If you get a chance, check out the Yuletide Festival. It is amazing, the connection of lights that stretch from here through the cultural properties in Memorial Park are really impressive. And this is my favorite time of the year. It is a time of light, of warmth, of family and peace, and I wish the best to all of you and to all residents here in the city of Summerside. So with that, we will take a 5-minute recess and move into the in-camera portion of our meeting. Thank you, Council.